Okay, so what we're going to try and do here is install Ubuntu Linux on a USB drive. So this laptop is a piece of junk. It's got 4 gig of RAM and it's ancient. So we're going to create a new virtual machine. We'll call it Ubuntu USB. We'll say next. We'll try giving it 1.5 gig of RAM. So the laptop's got 4 gig of RAM. We're not going to create a virtual hard disk because we're going to use a USB drive. We'll say create. Continue. We might just play with the network settings. And we'll just, it's on that, that'll be alright. We do need to choose the ISO, the Ubuntu ISO, so we go to storage, choose the Ubuntu ISO, we're going to choose a virtual optical disk image. So I'm using the new Ubuntu 20.04, which has been out about a week. We'll say OK. Now we'll start the virtual machine. So we're using VirtualBox to install the Ubuntu onto a USB drive. Now this could be really slow because this laptop is not very good. We can skip the disk checking. So I haven't got my USB drive plugged in yet. I'm going to plug it in just a moment. And I'm going to plug it into a USB 2 port. For the installation, it seems to work best if you've got it plugged into USB 2, at least in my experience. You can experiment if you like. Obviously later on when we boot the computer, we'll use USB 3. So it's taking a little while. It's an old laptop. It's taking a very long time. We've got a mouse arrow, that's something. Alright, the screen's purple, that's looking like it's, what's happened? Something's gone wrong. Oh no, here we go, install. This is looking promising. Okay, so we're at the install screen. We're going to plug the USB drive into the USB 2 port. And we're going to go to the devices menu, the USB option, and my drive's not in the list, which is a problem. that could be it. USB 3 device, even though it's plugged into a USB 2 port. We'll tick that one. We'll just double check that. I think that's the one, the USB 3. So it's a USB 3 drive plugged into a USB 2 port. So that looks promising. So that's connected to the virtual machine now. So now we're going to say install Ubuntu. And hopefully you guys have done this a few times now, so you know how to do it. The main difference is the disk partitioning is going to be different. We'll choose a normal installation and we'll select install the third-party stuff. It's going to run your entire laptop from USB, so we want everything. It's not going to be a virtual machine in the long run. It's going to boot your real physical computer. So we'll go with normal installation. I'm going to go with minimal installation actually, but you guys might want normal installation. It's up to you. The normal installation gives you Office software, that sort of stuff. So this is the Ubuntu 20.04, which came out April this year. And it's going to take a long time because it's a very old laptop. It doesn't have a solid state drive. So when you're doing this, you probably want to shop for a solid state drive. I'd suggest at least the 120 gig drive. You'd get away with a 60 gig drive. My one's a 250 gig drive. A 60 gig would be adequate. A 120 would be great. And anything bigger, it's just how much money you've got to spend. So the laptop, the internal drive on the laptop's not a solid state drive. That's one of the reasons it's going to take a really long time. But the USB drive is a solid state drive. Solid state drives are much faster. They're also much more durable. If you drop them, they're not very likely to die. Whereas the mechanical drives, you drop it, it's a good chance it dies on you. And they're really slow. So the battery might go flat on this camera, so this video might be in a couple of, it might be a series of videos. Okay, so we're at the erase screen. So I've already got Ubuntu on this drive. So we're going to erase everything and reinstall. I think we're going to go with the erase disk and install Ubuntu. Because we're not reinstalling, we're installing a new one. In fact, we might even go for something else. Something else says you can resize or create partitions yourself. So I want to show you this. Mine's already done, which makes it easy for me. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 primary partitions. You'll see I've got a 250 gig solid state drive there, or just a 250 gig drive. So there's a NTFS drive. That's so we can share files between Ubuntu and then Windows will be able to access them later if you plug a USB drive into Windows. So you have a swap drive. The swap drive needs to be about 2.5 times the size of your RAM. So if you've got 4 gig of RAM, you want about a 10 gig swap. If you've got 8, maybe you want about, 20 gig. So that's the partition system. There's a swap drive, which is about 2.5 times the size of your RAM. I've got 2 extension 4 drives. One's for the operating system, one would be to install and hold personal files. If this is all very confusing, you can just install it the default way and it'll make things easier. But I have a swap drive, an NTFS drive, that's a drive which can be shared between Windows and Linux, so both operating systems can access it. I have a drive in my operating system, so I've got about 60 gig for the operating system, and I've got another 20 gig drive for files. Okay, back again, my SD card filled up with video. Alright, so we're creating 4 partitions. You want a swap partition, which is at least 10 gig. You want it about 2.5 times the amount of RAM you've got. You have an extension 4 for the system, and the mount point for that is a /. You can also have a second extension 4 for files, and the mount point is /home. And then the 4th partition you have, so these are all primary partitions. The 4th partition, you originally created as a FAT32 partition, and this is a partition that both Linux and Windows can write to. And then when you get into Windows, you can format it as an NTFS partition. So it'll look something like that. You'll have the 4 partitions, and we're formatting them. You can see the mount point, the /, that's the system, /home, that's for your personal data. And the NTFS one, yours might be FAT32, you have to format it as NTFS under Windows, I think. And then away we go, we're ready to install. So this is installing on a physical USB drive, not a virtual hard drive. And we press the install button. And we get a warning about writing to the disk, and we're going to say continue. And away we go. Hopefully. Okay, back again. The battery went flat, but here we go. So you fill in who you are, use your name. The username, we can see that in the terminal, so when you submit work, we can see your name in the terminal to ensure it's your work. Continue. So the installation, apart from choosing the USB drive and partitioning it, the rest of the installation is just like you would have done for a virtual machine. In fact, I see my computer's name's even got VirtualBox there. I should have changed that to USB or something. So it's copying files. That's going to take a while. So it's finished copying files. It says installing system now. It's taking a really long time. It's an old laptop. It's using USB 2. We'll have to just wait and see how it goes. I guess you don't need to watch it installing, so I'm going to stop the video for a little while. Okay, so it says the installation is complete. Now's the moment of truth. So I'll hit the restart button. and it's still taking a very long time.
Yo llamo los dos. Eso no tiene que ser, que te lo tiene que ser.
Not sure what's happening here. We've hit the restart button and it just seems to have I don't know, it's not doing anything. I'm going to hit the shutdown button. Still nothing happening. I don't want it to fail now after all this time. It's taken about an hour and a half to install, an hour and 21 minutes. Okay, we've got to the remove the installation medium, then press enter. Shutting down. Right about there I'm going to turn it off. So it says could not, I'll just show you what it's saying there. It's saying could not read from the boot medium, system halted. Going to turn it off, we're going to power off the machine, not save the machine state, we're going to power it off. We're going to close VirtualBox. We're going to eject the USB 3 device, that's what our Ubuntu's on. We're going to shut down Windows. Now hopefully you know what key you press to boot your machine. What key you press to boot your computer from USB. So we're shutting down the laptop. Now we're going to plug the USB drive into a USB 3 port. Now we're going to turn the computer on, and mine's the escape key, mine's an Asus, and I press the escape key. Did anything happen? Computer seems to have died. What's happening? Alright, there we go. So I'm pressing the escape key when I turn the computer on. It didn't work. That's annoying. Let's try that again. So maybe it's not the escape key, maybe it's F10 or something. Alright, so we're at the boot menu. So hopefully you can find your USB drive on the boot menu. Mine's this one, ASMT. And we're going to choose that. And now, if all goes well, we're going to boot the laptop directly from the USB drive straight into Ubuntu. And it's looking good. So we've done the installation using VirtualBox, then we shut down the computer and booted the whole computer's booting directly from the USB drive. So we never even boot into Windows here. So this solves problems for a lot of people who are running old machines, who are having trouble running Ubuntu on their old laptops. So I booted up pretty quick. And there it is, Ubuntu running on a USB drive. So it's a solid state drive plugged into a USB 3 port. I recommend you have at least the 120 gig solid state drive. You'd get away with it on a 60 gig drive. Mine's a 250 gig drive. So there it is, Ubuntu 20.04 LTS. So then, once you've got it up and running, it's a matter of installing the software you need. You probably got to set, you might have to set your Wi-Fi up. So I'm just going to connect to my Wi-Fi now. So that was pretty easy. I think that's worked. We're checking for updates. So once you've got it set up on the USB drive, the entire computer is running straight off a solid state drive, and even on an old laptop with 4 gig of RAM, it should run great. It should, you know, it's way better than trying to run it in a virtual machine on Windows. And there you have it. It's all up and running. It booted in just seconds. It's going wonderful.